How you doing, guys? I just got into a interesting tech news in which Microsoft, who bought Skype quite a while ago, they're actually moving Skype into the cloud. To really understand this, you gotta know how Skype previously worked uh, since it was first started out, and Skype was mainly a peer-to-peer type connection between computers or multiple computers. Normally, the computer making the initial call would be considered kind of like the server end, taking up most of the load of the other computers. And then a centralized computer for Skype would just be used for logging connection credentials, username, password, and making the initial establishing the connection, and then simply the peer-to-peer networked computers would handle the call from then on. Now, there's both pros and cons to this. One of the negatives is if the computer that's originating the call may not have the best internet, low bandwidth, and then you're going to have bad connection, dropouts. If that computer drops out the network, then all the Skype callers will drop out simultaneously. And this is one factor that I've seen firsthand because doing the audio podcast based in Australia, the Tech Webcast, um, Brad's computer would be initially making the Skype calls to everybody else and would be in a big um, network conversation doing the audio podcast. And then often, since Australia has not the best internet, because they're basically a big island out in the ocean, so obviously it caused big problems. They were even theorizing to use other types of communication, perhaps something like Google Hangouts. But now that it's going to a cloud based system, then this may be a perfect reason to just stay with Skype. And then it'll be a lot easier on doing Skype to Skype calls. Now, the negative aspect, and I'm not even saying this is negative per se, is some people are worrying going through Microsoft backend servers that they're going to feed information to NSA or other things. Security is going to be compromised. From what I understand, even though it was a peer-to-peer connection before, there was still um, monitoring going on. From what I understand, of course, this could be worse. So you got to kind of weigh the options. Now, primarily, I think the reason why they went a backend server instead of peer-to-peer is because for business use, you have to, if you're providing communication in business, you want the most stable, best connection you can, and peer-to-peer may not be the best way of doing it. It could be a laptop somehow get knocked down off the peer-to-peer, and then it would bring everybody down. So a backend server might be in Microsoft's best interest for business. And then, of course, Skype would be free for anybody else to use. Of course, if you want to get enhanced features, then you would have to pay for it, I believe. So those are my thoughts on Skype going to the cloud rather than